Okay, I want to welcome everybody. Just want to start off with making a presentation. I don't need the mic, I guess everybody can hear me. What the village has been trying to do is help as many families as we can, along with the Robin Hood Foundation, which is an organization that put on a concert back a few months ago, and they raised lots of dollars to help residents in need. And what I'd like to do at this time, and thank you to the Cahill family for coming down, is present the Cahill family with this check. Hopefully that this will help you get back on your feet and do whatever you have to do, in getting your house back. And if there's anything that you need, we're there for you. Right? Give it to her, give it to her. Give it to the Lord, no, it don't matter. All right, take the check, we'll shake hands so she can have the check on one hand. All right, and if there's anything. Thanks, good luck. Bye-bye. Okay, well, like always, we'll start off the meeting by introducing Inspector Neubauer and Sergeant Roscoe. Welcome.
I just wanted to bring one of my co-sergeants, Jim Brosco, along. Some of you may recognize him. He spent a lot of time down here in the aftermath of Sandy. I just got back up to strength in Cope with two sergeants. Jim is very familiar with the area, and before he got promoted to sergeant, he spent a number of years as a detective at the 7th Precinct, so he's well familiar with this precinct and this area, so I just wanted to bring Jim along.
Nice to see everybody.
Last month, since I was here last, the only crimes of significance that we've had down here in Mastic Beach continues to be the burglaries. Since we last spoke in the middle of July, we've had 9 residential burglaries in Mastic Beach, 6 of which were vacant houses, and the theft was the copper pipes. That continues to be not only down here in Mastic Beach, but throughout this precinct, throughout this county, continues to be a hot button item. Just out of curiosity, I know I was asked this question once before, I didn't have an immediate answer. Before coming here tonight, I got a hold of our property recovery section, and I spoke to the sergeant there, and I was curious, what's the going rate for copper these days? It's between $3 and $3.25 a pound for clean copper. That means pipes, as opposed to copper that might be copper wiring that has some fabric or some rubber insulating material over it. But clean copper, and that's what these guys, and I can't say they're all guys because some of them has worked with girls that we've caught, that's what they're after, is the clean copper in the basement. So a little over $3 a pound. If you have a heroin habit, I think a bag is what, about $8 these days? $7, $8 a bag of heroin, you get a couple of pounds of copper out of a house, you got yourself a fix on heroin. And that's where this is going. Other than that, we haven't had any other major incidents such as assaults, arsons, anything like that down here in the last month. But I know I've said it before, I'll say it again, you're probably tired of hearing me saying it. If you see a car parked in a driveway or out front of a house that you know has been foreclosed or vacant, please call 911, guaranteed they're up to no good. I'll take any questions if anybody has a question they want to bring up. No? Oh, okay. Question in the back.
I had neighbors from the other end of my block telling me 21 Sherwood on the weekend, it's a revolving door at night. cars pull up, someone gets out, goes inside, moments later, comes back out, car's going, all night long.
21 Sherwood,
21 Sherwood, correct?
Okay.
Wow.
down by Brockwood, down,
It's,
basically, yeah, okay, I know,
yeah. Yeah, two blocks, north of the neighborhood.
Okay. You got that, Jim? 21 Sherwood. Anything else?
What is the general policy of what takes place? Because a couple of years ago, I called for an officer, told him about a house which is right across the street from where I lived. At that time, it's not there now. But when I spoke to the officer and I said, you know, I don't want to just point fingers down the middle of the street at whatever. If you come and speak, you know, knock my door, you know, come in, you're welcome in. But I was pretty much embarrassed by the police officer, and that officer pointed to the house and looked at me and said, "That house?" So I would like to know what the policy is.
Well, what was your complaint to the officer? What
Well,
what were you reporting?
Drug dealings at the time.
Okay,
And again, I'm bringing it up because it was a revolving door, and, you know, we with the block, for the most part, was, you know, aware of what was going on, and we'd make the calls. I know there were 3 of us that were making calls and so forth. Finally, I said, you know, well, let's get an officer down here. But what is the policy? Because if it's, you know, well, we have to have probable cause, and we have to have this, and we have to have this. Neighbors want to, you know that this is a problem, what's taking place. Even if you're not going to, you know, something can't occur immediately. I mean, what's the process so we can know what's going on and not feel like I felt after I did what I did?
okay. You mind if I put you on the spot for a minute?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna have Jim explain what we're gonna do with 21 Sherwood, and hopefully that will address your question.
Oftentimes we have complaints and, you know, they'll come in and we'll do investigations, we'll see how much activity there are, we'll send officers down to monitor the activity and stuff. You may or may not be aware that we're down there monitoring that, or that we've had other complaints. We'll try to develop informants, cultivate information from the neighbors and stuff like that might be able to provide plate numbers and stuff so we can come up with suspect information, things like that. Once we comprise that, we'll send it up to narcotics. If it's something that narcotics deems that they can then investigate into a long-term investigation, it may be a protracted period of time before you actually see something happen with that address. And sometimes the people will move away, but oftentimes they'll be able to get an undercover in there. They'll be able to go up on a wiretap on that location. It'll expand out to other locations that are actually involved with them, and we'll get multiple suspects rather than just sit down the block and hope to pick off a guy coming out of there with a couple bags of dope or something like that. So ideally, that's what we'd like to do, get more players, bigger charges, something that'll stick. But oftentimes, we'll get a guy coming out of there with a bag, and we'll use that. The guy will give us more information, and we'll handle it, if you will, at the street level. And so there will be arrests, it just won't be as large scale an arrest as what you're talking about. But if you have any problems regarding smaller stuff like that, or lots of activity, I should say, just call up to the office. If I'm working, I will take interest in it. I know people up in narcotics. I know the guys in the NISA team in the 7th Squad, and I'll forward it to them, and we'll definitely look into it. Like I said, we can't really go around and tell you what's going on as it's going on, because that would undermine the investigation. Okay?
Bottom line is, what we were told tonight about 21 Sherwood, we're gonna follow up on it. And it may be just, you know, it may lead to something big, or it may just be, as Jim said, arresting 1 or 2 customers, and that might put an end to it. But we follow up on everything. And, you know, I encourage people, if they don't wish to call 911, you can call me. I know I've given out in the past my email address. Send me an email. I'll see that we do something with it. Anything that comes up at a meeting like this, or at our monthly community meeting that we have at the precinct, we encourage people, tell us what's on your mind, tell us what you think, where a problem is. We're going to look into it. We don't forget about it. It's documented. You see me next month, I'm going to be telling you what we've done with 21 Sherwood. Any other questions? And by the way, if you were embarrassed, I apologize. You shouldn't embarrass anybody for telling us about a problem. That's not the way we do business. Question?
Yeah, Barnaby, there's no conversation. Big calls on Barnaby. Is it on there?
I have no info on that, but I know we had a series that's being followed up by the plain clothes unit at the precinct.
Okay, you got one at 4 o'clock in the morning, goes up and down the street, you can warn you guys, and nobody comes out and says about a big issue.
Nobody, if you make a 911 call, somebody's showing up.
Nobody shows up. You got a call like about 10 times, and it's
I'll tell you what, as before we leave, give the sergeant your name, and we'll research and find out when, okay?
Appreciate it.
And we will get back to you. Make sure you give them your phone number, all right? And we'll get back to you. Anybody else? Yes.
I need to go on those gunshots that were heard on Sunday night. Why did
Yeah.
the shotgun show, off the Riverside, in their backyard, and,
First I'm hearing about that, yeah.
I called it in on Sunday, it had to be at least 8 to 10 shots.
You sure gunshots and not
Shotgun, so that night, I know it's not sound right. And there were 2 boys and 1 female.
Deer
Here, up in my area, they are not around yesterday, they're not around today.
First I'm hearing about the shots, but normally that wouldn't come to my attention unless there was something else involved with that.
Yeah, what I don't like is the fact that, I just gave my name anonymously, okay?
Nothing wrong
And
with
then
that.
2 cars show up in front of my house. So if these people that are doing this are out there and they're watching, they're gonna know who called.
Did an officer get out of the car and come up to your house?
Now, the 2 of them standing outside the car talking in front of my house.
Okay, all right. And then, you know, if
I
they
won't
came,
call anymore.
well, if they knocked on your house, I could see where you would have a problem, but 2
Even
cops
if
in
they're
front of
right
your
in
house?
it's still targeting me because of the fact that if any one of them around, and you see it, they know what house to call.
Well,
And then they'd be.
not necessarily, are there other houses on your block?
Of course there are.
Okay, okay. Anybody else?
Inspector, I just have
Yes.
one thing. I want to thank you and your warrant squad for helping us out with the warrants that the village court has issued.
Yeah, that's
a great asset to us.
Good, good.
Great, thank you.
Just keep them coming, we'll Look at them. Okay.
That's all.
Oh, okay, thanks.
This is something completely different from that, but are code enforcement officers in the town allowed to issue traffic violation tickets?
Not traffic violation, they can issue to the town code, they could issue say a parking violation under the town code, but they couldn't issue a parking violation under the state code. They couldn't stop a car, say, for going through a red light or something
Or
like that.
lights out on your car?
No. Okay, have a nice rest of the summer, I'll see you in September. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Williams, Don, anything we can do, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you.
See you next week.
Okay. All right, moving to the public hearing portion. The resolution amending chapter 260, section 260-1-4 to include a mortgagee as a definition of owner.
This is, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, 260-1 is our housing standards section. Can everyone hear me in the back? Okay. Housing section of the code. What we want to do is, along the same lines as the inspector just talked about copper, there is a veil that banks hide behind on whether they have ownership or not. The Village of Massac Beach is trying to be proactive, and they want to add a mortgagee, which is a legal word for meaning bank, who's in possession and control to also make them responsible for the houses in Massac Beach. We just want to expand the definition beyond just owner, that if there is some transition when they're in a mortgage foreclosure position, that a mortgagee, a bank, would be responsible and upheld to the same standard as any other owner inside the Village of Massac Beach.
The case
Well, let me just support of it.
Okay, questions, Bob, Gary?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if we can, anybody have any public comment, if you could please come up, sign your name.
Okay. It's not gonna be real quick. It's an easy question.
Guys, just state your name and then fill out the card.
Joe Malia, in the case, like you were saying, where a bank would be considered an owner, is that only gonna be in a situation where it's in foreclosure? Or
Yes.
So in other words, if there's still a lien on the house, everything is in good order, but the owner wasn't doing their share,
The owner would still be responsible.
so the bank would be.
Correct. The bank would have to be in possession or control. Up until that foreclosure moment, the owner is still responsible for the property as the owner.
Thank you.
Mine was basically the same question.
Okay.
All right, so let Joe fill out the card for you.
I was hoping to get away with it. No, good.
I mean, after the foreclosure.
Name, please, sir?
After the actual foreclosure takes place, is when
Correct.
the mortgage,
Through foreclosure, the owner is still the owner of the property. It's only when there's a certain moment when there's a judgment of foreclosure and the bank is technically in possession, that's when we want to hold them
That's just what I
responsible.
want to clarify, thank you.
So just state your name for the record.
I'm Dick Westhoff, 25 Kingston Road, Massachusetts Beach.
Thank you. No other questions? You have a question?
Yes.
Come on, Bob.
Dick Zelny, 59 Sugar Drive, Massachusetts Beach. What about you have, 3 or 4 mortgages? How do you decide who's the guy that gets wrapped?
Well, ultimately, in the court proceeding, one bank is going to come forward as the primary mortgagor. Whoever that bank is who then ultimately gets awarded possession and control by the court, that's who we want to have as responsible.
That's the,
Yeah.
because what's happening is the guy who's got the second mortgage can't foreclose on you if you don't pay him because you paid the first guy.
Well, look, you could have a series of mortgages, but in the law court, from a mortgage foreclosure standpoint, only the mortgage who's actually doing the foreclosure counts.
Okay.
It's only which is generally the first guy.
Okay.
No other questions? Sorry, you look like you have a question.
I was gonna say questions involving this issue or questions involving.
No, just this issue. Okay. No other questions? Make a motion to close the public portion?
I don't have enough of these. I asked the questions for that.
Okay, now resolution to amend chapter 260, section 260-1-4 to include mortgagee as a definition of owner. So moved.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, resolution authorizing the payment of presented bills as per abstract 3-2013 in the amount of $391,864.96. So moved.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Resolution adopting the National Incident Management System, otherwise known as NIMS. So moved. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's just it's a program that all government agencies, police departments, fire departments, ambulance companies, all the way down to village levels, pretty much follows in case of an emergency. It's all about communications and protocol, documentation and everything. We're just adapting it. We actually used it during Superstorm Sandy. It worked very well. We're just adopting it into a resolution. I made a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, resolution referring the proposed zoning code, zoning map, FGEIS, and other pertinent documents to the Suffolk County Planning Commission. So moved.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, resolution accepting the final generic environmental impact statement, FGEIS, for the proposed zoning code. So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, 5D, we're gonna just put that on hold for another week. We're gonna withdraw it. We just wanna get a little more information out there. That's the sewer treatment. We'll do 2 weeks. We'll actually put that to, let me just see what date that is. Yeah, let's do it at the next work session, which is actually September 4th. Get a second on it?
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay. We'll move into trustees' reports. Actually, Gail Caprielli has to be excused. Just a couple of things she had on here. The Robin Hood Foundation, the Robin Hood funds are still available. We urge people that can come down, fill out the application, and take this money, because if we don't give it to our residents at the end of September, Robin Hood Foundation is going to take it back. We gave out almost $129,000 already. We still have more. Again, appliances, furniture, electronics. We went as far as paying bills for people. It's plain simple, fill out the application. It goes as far as Village Hall. No names, no names get out. And we send it into Robin Hood. We also look at it, we send it into them, and it gets approved. Again, I hate to turn the money back. There's a lot of residents that are not here tonight that need it. If you could just tell them to please come down, it's not gonna hurt them one bit. And the other thing, Lake Grove Cultural Arts, Recreation, and Education Society will be hosting a fundraiser for Mastic Beach on August 25th. It's in reference to helping another village that suffered during Superstorm Sandy. I know it's an all-day event. They have food vendors, they have music. I hate to see everybody spend all day there, because on that same day we have the Craft Fest. So if you can do one in the morning and come in the afternoon, the participation will be appreciated. It's at Lake Grove. I'll get the exact address, it'll be on the website, but it's at the Village Hall.
There's flyers on the table.
Okay, there's actual flyers on the table. Trustee Morrow, you got anything?
Yeah, monthly code enforcement report for July. Number of complaints received was 317. Number of appearance tickets issued was 106. Number of unfounded complaints was 20. Number of closed by compliance was 82. Number of warnings issued was 60.
Thank you, Bob. Gary, anything? Nick? Ken?
No. In July, we had 50 rental permits issued, 16 building permits issued, 10 compliances came in with code, 2 existing certificates of occupancy, and 10 certificates of occupancy. There were 37 property searches.
Okay, I also want to mention that we get a lot of complaints that there's rundown houses, and the last thing I want to live next to is a rundown house. To date, we've taken down 8 houses. And I gotta say, I got about maybe 20 more in my computer of residents saying they would like theirs. We're trying to do our best. We're working with banks, we're working with the county, we're working with everybody we can to try to get these houses taken down.
Am I on the list? The house, Hackensack, is that on your list,
I'm
please?
sure you are. And also, the highway guys have been taking up their regular duties again, because we do get a lot of complaints of high grasses on people's vacant houses. We're actually sending our guys out there cutting the grasses in them yards to make it look presentable, and we're actually putting a lien against the property. So we're trying our best. And if anybody out there is on the list, bear with us, we will eventually get to you. We're trying real hard. Kate Browning's office has been working pretty close with us. The county has no money like every other municipality, but there's got to be a way to make the area look better, so we figured the best thing we could do is at least cut the grass. We thank everybody for their patience. And other than that, open it up for public comment. If you can, so just anybody who wants to speak on behalf of anything, just sign the card, please. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Jeff Slack from 21 Mill Drive. I just wanted to comment on the Newsday article that was out today with your comments and reference to the sewer system. I thought it looked good. I thought it showed a forward-leaning attempt at the village for the first time in the public to take on this thorny issue. And I'm sure that it's going to be controversial and difficult to solve ultimately our sewer problem in the village, but I thought it reflected well on the village and reflected well on our government, and I was proud to read it.
Thank you very much.
My name is Wayne Miranda, you know my address. It's 25 Blue Point Road, by Rich over there, Section 5 Marina. I have two questions. One is I had taken a class recently in the town, and the instructor that was giving the class had said that it was coming up during a discussion. Could be a vicious rumor, but that's how trouble starts. I think let me address the town on it right off the bat. That at some point, the code enforcement officers will be carrying sidearms. So I brought this up with, last week I thought the meeting was, and I spoke to a lady, and she said, boy, that would create a lot of problems, which I said, I think so too, but rather than it, just getting out there that this is true, this isn't true, I figured I'd bring it up to you and say, is there at any point a discussion that this is occurring, or will occur, or something way down the road? That, do you want both questions at the same time, or do you want to address that?
I can address that one. As far as I'm concerned, and the rest of the board that's sitting here, no code enforcement officer is going to carry anything else but a pen and a pad. No pistols. That's a vicious rumor that's going around. That is being spread by village haters, and they're trying their best, but it's not going to happen. You got my guarantee.
Okay, because, again, I supported the village and so forth, so I'll squash rumors when I hear it too and say, heard it from the horse's mouth. The other question was when you were just addressing that, you're having particular homes, dismantled and taken down and so forth. You put in for bids for that, right, for a company?
Correct.
Wouldn't it be less expensive to have, now that we're getting, town workers, that are doing things for the roads and so forth, you're buying equipment, instead of putting into bids, which in and of itself costs money and takes time, have town, because I know some of the people that do the, are doing the work, that have the knowledge, and if they have the equipment to take it down. So is that part of the plan where somewhere down the road, you'll have the equipment that we can just do it ourselves?
The type of equipment we use for that, and Tim, you could back me up on this, it's very expensive to go out and buy it for something that we don't know how long this is going to last. And then what do we do with the equipment? Well, we are looking for different types of equipment because eventually we're going to get into installing storm drains. Right now, the way we have it, the contractor that comes in, it's sued from us, he cleans the property, takes the house down, cleans the property, and he gets rid of it. Right now, the county's looking to take a house down on Sheep's Pen, which is over by Section 5. A simple house that we take down could run anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000. The county right now is up to $35,000 to take that house down. They gotta go through asbestos permits, have the asbestos removed, the shingles removed, and it just creates a lot of problems. So it's easy, we contract it out, lowest bidder gets the job, comes in, cleans up, and job's done.
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
Still go back to the,
Yes, and it does get billed back to the property, so somebody sooner or later, if they sell the property, there's a lien against it, they have to pay us back.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Come on, there's gotta be some more questions, can't go home early.
I
think the microphone.
When it is going to back to the property, lien on the property or lien on the taxes?
added to the village tax or added to the property? Again,
Well, what it is, it's a lien against the property. So if the bank owns it, if the bank's gonna sell it to somebody down the line, they have to come back and satisfy the
in
village.
first place, it's a lien, and the property is second, right? Mortgage is everything is second. So, didn't we come up with before, like, to put this as a lien to the village taxes? So must be paid, we don't have to wait until property is sold?
Yeah, some things by statute, under the state property tax law, some things you can add to a tax, some things you can't. This is not something you can add to a tax. What you can add to a tax is very, very limited. So what we do is, as every other village does, they put a lien against the property. That lien is there when, if anyone's ever gonna sell the property, refinance it, do whatever they're gonna do ultimately, sell it to somebody, it's gonna come up in the title report, and the judgment has to be satisfied by the government.
And I have one more, like, request. I'd like to see village officials and everybody to support more, like, all events organized by volunteers, if we need presence of code enforcement or presence of fire department. It would be like automatic, because people who are volunteering, doesn't matter what organizations they are working for. You know, sometimes when it was 1 mile run, and there was no code enforcement, actually volunteers should, were controlling the roads. So maybe we could like work it out, so every time when the group is organizing something, we are getting support from, from our government.
Just, Nick's trying to explain exactly what you meant. I mean, I can't speak for anybody other than the fire department being a member. Them guys volunteer enough time in this community, and they try to get out to as much events as they possibly can. Same thing with the ambulance company, they're running 24/7, they need to spend some time with their families. Time is very precious, so.
But it's only like 10 events over the whole year. 10.
But, and again, even if there was 20 events in the village, literally in this fire department right now, they're running almost, I would say 500 calls a year, up to date right now. So they're out there, and they try to get involved as much as they can, believe me.
What about this 5 kilometer or 5 miles run someone was trying to organize, and was the problem with the, like, closing the roads and stuff like that? But I was just surprised that village is not helping with this type of events. You know, like, I understand if they are all volunteering, but for example, code enforcement, closing the roads.
I mean,
you know,
tell me a time when the village is not working with people running events. Can you give me a for instance?
No, I said about the one that was the Chamber of Commerce. I remember they had problem to close the roads, and the event was
Okay.
great, you know?
Okay, here's what happens, and I'm strict to the rules. If you don't put your application in within 30 days of the event,
Okay.
it's not going to happen. Because not only do you have to let the fire department know what's going on, if you do any kind of event, like a race or anything, the ambulance company has to be notified. And the ambulance company was not notified on that one event until like 4 days before the event. We just canceled another event, Osprey Point, 5K mile run. They rescheduled that because the paperwork's not in. I'm not gonna take paperwork as people walk through the door, and then all these organizations have to jump through hoops to try to meet the mandates. So 30 days is not a long time. People need to plan ahead and get back to us.
Please spread the message. And we should be like somewhere in the village, on the village website, so people, everybody knows. Because you don't feel like, okay, yeah, village is a small government, so we can.
It is. If you go look for the permit, it says right there, it must be filled out 30 days prior to the event. Okay. I'm glad you have. Thank you.
District West off of 25 Blue Point Road. We have a houseboat in Mastic Beach. You aware, you all aware of it?
By Section
Houseboat,
5.
that's right, Section 5. About 20 years ago, we had several, and the town of Brookhaven took action and had them all removed, except this one was given some preferential treatment, supposedly for the one owner. But since then, it's had several owners. My concern is, do we have it on a list to inspect that houseboat, the sewage system on that houseboat periodically? Now it's gonna fall on the village. The town was supposed to be doing it, I don't know if they are. We heard a lot of stories about what kind of sewage system they had 20 years ago. And it still wasn't really clear what was certain. One said that they had a furnace that burned it and dumped the cinder into the water. That's the way it was described to me. But anyway, I think the village should put it on the calendar to have an inspection of that sewage system to make sure it's functioning properly. Okay, thank you.
Sounds good, thank you. We definitely will look into that tomorrow, Tim.
I met with the guy with Apple already.
Okay, Tim's already met with him, so.
You have, oh,
I mean, we pretty much know every move that's going on in the village. We're trying to keep up with everything, but input is always great. This way we can give you the true and facts, hands-on. And for the rumors, my cell phone is given out 24/7. If you don't have it, again, it's 631-478-1300. Please call me. We will squash any rumor as quick as it comes in. And if it's fact, I'll be the first one to tell you you're absolutely correct. I don't lie to anybody. I'm straightforward, and I want to make this place a success. No more further questions? Do we have anything in the next session?
I'd like to
Walk? Okay. Well, we're gonna break for executive session for employment. We should be out soon. Make a motion to go to executive session?
Second?
I'll second.